Hi everybody, Dan Illman here with the DRF race of the day for Sunday, May the 28th. It's race number 8 at Anita, the $150,000 Snow Chief Stakes for 3-year-old Calabreds going 1 1/8 on the turf. Before we take a look at this field, it is Memorial Day weekend. That means we've got great Memorial Day deals at shop.drf.com. Big savings on your favorite DRF handicapping products. Let's take a look at the field for the Snow Chief. The favorite's on the outside, a stakes winner up at Golden Gate last time out. That's the number 7, Hacking It Up. And Hacking It Up really looked pretty good in that race, running down the horses up in Northern California. He is a perfect 2 for 2 on the turf. They've tried him on various distances and on dirt, but I think this is what he wants to do. Middle distance on the turf. He's your 2-to-1 morning line favorite. We throw up the Timeform US pace projection. We see Hacking It Up close. I'm not really sure that's his preferred running style. Maybe stretching out to 1 1/8 will be a little bit closer to the pace. The 3 Clouseau, the 2 Boss Sully, in my opinion, are the 2 horses that are going to make the running. Boss Sully, the number 2, is removing blinkers. Maybe that's a sign they want him to relax because he pulls hard in the early portion of his races, but he's pretty fast out of the gate. I think he and Clouseau are going to take up the running with maybe the 1 Old Pal settling in behind in a pace-tracking, ground-saving spot. Speaking of Old Pal, in all 3 starts, he's run pretty well. He's been favored in all of them, and he's hit the board in all of them. Last time out, he was the beaten favorite in a first-level allowance, finishing behind Boss Sully. I wonder if the pace of that race worked against him. They were kind of walking up front, and while Old Pal was sitting perched in a 3-wide prompting position, when the leaders began to sprint away from him, turning into the stretch, Old Pal just didn't have that sort of turn of foot, and he kept grinding it out and finished 3rd. I think this additional distance is going to work pretty well for Old Pal. I think there might be more pace for him to attack, and he might be able to save more ground. So some good things for Old Pal as he stretches out in the Snow Chief. Boss Sully is the number 2. We're going to watch Boss Sully's most recent start. It was that race where he finished ahead of Old Pal. They turn into the stretch. Boss Sully had made the lead in this race. You see Old Pal on the outside. Boss Sully's going to dig in as he's done in his last 2 races and has looked good in the stretch. He's only going to get beat a half a length. I really didn't see much of an excuse for Boss Sully in that race because he did control the pace, but he was also stretching all the way out from 5.5 to 1 mile, and maybe just he got fatigued in the final furlong with only 2 prior starts on his resume. Again, the blinkers come off. Maybe they're going to try to relax him a bit as he stretches out going 1 1/8. He does have good speed. 1 1/8, though, is a question mark for Boss Sully. 5-2 on the morning line. The 3 is Clouseau. The good news is Clouseau has won 3 out of his last 4 starts. The bad news is all those races have come on dirt. He's raced twice previously on turf to begin his career. Both of those races weren't up to par compared to his dirt races. So at this point, I'm going to assume that Clouseau might be a dirt horse. I do respect his early speed. I respect the fact that they ran him on the turf early in his career thinking that he might be a turf horse. But it is worth noting his best races have come on dirt. His tactical speed plays. He'll also have to stretch out to 1 1/8, but it appears he has the pedigree to handle it. The 4 is Upward Mobility. Let's watch his most recent start. They dropped him in for the $50,000 tag this day and turned him all the way back to 6 furlongs, and he got a good setup. He came from out of it. He didn't break very well in this race, and then he came from way out of it to get up to win by a head at 16-1. This was a step in the right direction for Upward Mobility, who has shown the ability to stay a little bit closer to the pace, and maybe that'll be the plan as they stretch back out from 6 to 1 1/8 to try to get close to the pace. He's 15-1 on the morning line. He has to take a step forward on a Beyer speed figure scale, and he has to prove his mettle against these classier horses. He finished behind Boss Sully and Old Pal in that slow-paced race 2 starts back. Maybe again the pace worked against him in that race. Be Punctual is the number 5. This is a maiden stepping up to face winners in this stake, but he ran well last time out on April the 21st. This is a mile turf race against Calbred Maiden Specials. He didn't break very well. He's down towards the inside. He kind of was in behind horses. All in all, this was a pretty good performance for him to finish 2nd, and it seems like he's taking incremental steps forward with each and every start. He appears to like these middle distance races on the turf, and I think he'll stretch out even another 1/8 of a mile. They're going to take the blinkers off. I think the plan's going to be 1 run from the back of the pack, Be Punctual. This isn't the strongest stakes field in the world. He's going to be a big price in this race. Maybe he can run on for a piece. Tom and Jazzy is up next. This horse finished 4th last time out in the Boss Eddie race that we showed you. He sort of had a pretty good trip. He was down inside, saving ground in the pocket, but again, the speeds didn't come back, and Tom and Jazzy tried to sprint on home with him, and he couldn't. He finished 4th that day. This is a horse that did win his turf debut at Santa Anita, going a mile against maidens. He was a big price that day. He's still trying to find that form. He goes out for Phil D'Amato, though, and you have to respect anything D'Amato puts on the track, especially on turf. Here's Hacking It Up's win in the Silky Sullivan last time out. He's 2 for 2 on turf, and this is how he likes to run on the turf course. He settles in mid-pack, he comes with a strong bid, and he got it done with a 76 Beyer speed figure. A repeat of this race is going to make him very tough in here, and if the 2 and the 3 hook up in the early stages of this race, Hacking It Up's going to likely come with a good strong close, and if not, I believe that he can adapt and sit 3rd or 4th. He's the horse to beat based on this performance. I think this is a slightly tougher field than the horses he faced in the Silky Sullivan, but you have to respect what he's done thus far on the turf. Before we get to my top selection, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Top pick time for the Snow Chief. I'm going back to my old pal. I think he might have been up against it from a pace standpoint last time out. Stalking 3 wide in a slow-paced race. Draws the rail, gets a little more ground to work with, and maybe a little more pace as well. He'll be my top pick in the Snow Chief. It's our Sunday DRF race of the day, race number 8 at the Great Race Place. Approximate post time 4:45 Pacific. Good luck.